जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन ब्रजजन रांजन यशोदनंदन ब्रजजन रांजन यमुना तीरवनचारी यमुना तीरवनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन ब्रजन रंजन यशोदनंदन ब्रजन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी कुंज बिहारी। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरशतकीर्ति भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ISKCON founder आचार्य DVT founder आचार्य सेवियर ऑफ द होल वर्ल्ड जगत गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरशत भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रीला हरदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ क्षेत्रपुरी क्षेत्र धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। शामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असेंबल्ड डियोटीज हरे कृष्णा। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असेंबल्ड डियोटीज हरे कृष्णा। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असेंबल्ड डियोटीज हरे कृष्णा। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्री गुरु एंड गौरांगा। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। So, okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nārāyaṇam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyāsam tato jayatmadhiraye nashtaprayesha abhadresu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavate uttama sloke bhaktirabhavati naistiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vāsādi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hare. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So we are reading today from Canto 6, Chapter 16. Chapter 16, text number 36. 36 and 37 I'm gonna read today. I'm planning to read. And then we will discuss. Yeah, you can chant for me. I can do word by word. Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Paramanu Param Mahato Tvam Adiyanta Antara. I'm reading, I think that, okay. I'm reading from synonyms. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Vrati Traya Viduraha Adva Ante Apicha Sattvanam Yada Yad Dhruvam Tad Evantarale Antarale Pi Api. Yes. Yes, please.
Padamanu Padma Mahatos
Paramanu Padma Mahatos
Tvamadyantan Tadavarti Traya Viduraha
Tvam Adyantara Varti Traya Viduraha
Ādavante pichasattvanam
Ādvante chapi sattvanam
Yaddruvam te devantaralepi
Yadruvam tadantaralepi
Padamanu Padma Mahatos
Paramanu Padma Mahasos
Tvamadyantantarāvarti Traya Vidura
Tvamandhyantara Vartitraya Viduraha
Ādavante pichasattvanam
Ādvante chapi sattvanam
Yaddruvam te devantaralepi
Yadruvam tadantaralepi
Padamanu Padma Mahatos
Paramanu Paran Mahatos
Tvamadyantan Tadavarti Traya Viduraha
Tvayamadyantaravarti vidurah
Ādāvante pica sattvanam
Advante pichapi sattvanam
Yadduvam tadeventarālapi
Yadruvam tadeventarālapi. Okay, we can go ahead.
Word by words?
Yes, what
Okay.
I do word by words and then
Okay.
translation.
Padamānu
Paramanu
of the atomic particle.
of the atomic particles.
Padamamahato
Paramamahato
and of the biggest.
and of the biggest.
The result of the combination of atoms.
The results of the combination of atoms.
Tvam,
Tvam,
you.
you.
Adi anta,
Adiyanta,
in both the beginning and the end.
in both the beginning and the end.
Antara,
Antara,
and in the middle.
and in the middle.
Varti,
Varti,
existing.
existing.
Traya vidudaha,
Traya viduraha,
although without beginning, end, or middle.
although without beginning, end, or middle.
Adau,
Ado,
in the beginning.
in the beginning.
Ante,
Ante,
at the end.
at the end.
Api,
Api,
also.
also.
Cha,
Cha,
and.
and.
Sattvanam,
Sattvanam,
of all existences.
of all existences.
Yat,
Yat,
which.
which.
Dhruvam,
Dhruvam,
permanent.
permanent.
Tat,
Tat,
that.
that.
Eva,
Eva,
certainly.
certainly.
Antarale,
Antarale,
in the middle.
in the middle.
Api,
Api,
also.
also. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, HG Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. You exist in the beginning, middle, and end of everything, from the most minute particles of the cosmic manifestation, the atom, to the gigantic universe and total material energy. Nevertheless, you are eternal, having no beginning, end, or middle. You are perceived to exist in these three phases, and thus you are permanent. When the cosmic manifestation does not exist, you exist as the original potency. Purport. Brahma Samhita 5.33 said, Advaitam achyutam anadi ananta rupam adyam purana purusham no yovanam cha vedeshu duralabham aduralabham atma bhakto govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Quote, I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, Krishna, who is the original person, absolute, infallible, and without beginning. Although expanded into unlimited forms, is still the same original, the oldest, and the person always appearing as a fresh youth. Such eternal, blissful, all-knowing form of the Lord cannot be understood even by the best Vedic scholars. But they are always manifest to the pure, unalloyed deities. Unquote. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no cause, for He is the cause of everything. The Lord is beyond the working of the cause and effect. He is eternally existing. In other words, in the Brahma Samhita says, Antaras astha paramanu chayantastham. Brahma Samhita 5.33. The Lord exists within the genetic universe and within the atom. The descents of the Lord into the atom and the universe indicate that without His presence, nothing could factually exist. Scientists say that the water is the combination of hydrogen and oxygen. But when they see a vast ocean, they are puzzled about where such a quantity of hydrogen and oxygen could have come from. They think that everything evolved from chemicals. But where did the chemicals come from? They do not know. Since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of all causes, He can produce immense quantities of chemicals to create a situation for chemical evolution. We actually see that the chemicals are produced from the living entities. For example, a lemon tree produces many tons of citric acid. The citric acid is not cause of the tree. Rather, the tree is the cause of the acid. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of everything. He is the cause of a tree that produces the citric acid, Vijam Mam Sarva Bhutanam, Bhagavad Gita 7.10. But devotees can see that the original potencies causing the cosmic manifestation are not in chemicals, but in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for He is the cause of the chemicals. Everything is caused and manifested by the energy of the Supreme Lord, and when everything is annihilated or dissolved, the original potency enters the body of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, this verse says, Adav ante picha apicha sattvanam yad dhruvam tade evantaralepi. Sorry for my bad Sanskrit. The word dhruvam means permanent. The permanent reality is Krishna, not this cosmic manifestation. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Adirihi Devanam 10.2 and Matta Sarvam Pravartate. Krishna is the original cause of everything. Arjuna recognized Lord Sri Krishna as the original person. Purusham Saswatam Divyam Adi Devam Ajam Vibhu, and the Brahma Samhita describe him as the original person. Govindam Adi Purusham. He is the cause of all causes, whether at the beginning or at the end or in the middle. So I'll read this next verse which is related to this, and then we'll discuss. Text number 37. Every universe is covered by 7 layers. Earth, water, fire, air, sky, total energy means mind, intelligence, and false ego, each 10 times greater than the previous one. There are innumerable universes beside this one, and although they are unlimitedly large, they move about like atom in you. Therefore, you are called unlimited, ananta. Purport. The Brahma Samhita 5.48 says, I'm going to skip the Sanskrit and read text. The origin of the material creation is Mahā-Viṣṇu, who lies in the Causal Ocean. When he sleeps in that ocean, millions of universes are generated as he exhales, and they are all annihilated when he inhales. This Mahā-Viṣṇu is the plenary portion of a portion of Viṣṇu, Govinda, yasya kalā-viśeṣaḥ. The word kala refers to the plenary portion of the plenary portion. From Krishna or Govinda comes Balarāma, from Balarāma comes Saṅkarṣaṇa, from Saṅkarṣaṇa Nārāyaṇa, from Nārāyaṇa the second Saṅkarṣaṇa, from second Saṅkarṣaṇa Mahā-Viṣṇu, from Mahā-Viṣṇu Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, and from Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu Kṣīrodakaśāyī Viṣṇu. Kṣīrodakaśāyī Viṣṇu controls every universe. This gives an idea of meaning of ananta, unlimited. What is to be said of the unlimited potency and existence of the Lord? This verse describes the covering of the universe, that is sapta viridash gunottar andakosha. The first covering is earth, the second is water, the third is fire, the fourth is air, the fifth is sky, the sixth is total material energy, and the seventh is the false ego. Beginning with the covering of earth, each covering is 10 times greater than the previous one. Thus, we can only imagine how great each universe is. And there are many millions of universes, as confirmed by Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita. Atava 10.42 Atava bahunayatena kim jnanatena tvarjuna Bisat bhayam idam Kṛṣṇam ekchāshena sthito jagat ekam shena sthito jagat. Quote, but what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Unquote. The entire material manifestation manifests only 1/4 of the Supreme Lord's energy. Therefore, he is called Ananta. All right. So, Ajñāniti mirandhasya jnānanjana salakaya chacchurupurmilitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave namaha mukam karoti vācālam pangum langhayate girim tava kripatamaham bande Sri Guru dīnatarinam vāṅcchā kalpatarūhasya ca kripā sindhivyev ca patitānam pāvanebhyo vaishnavyo namo namaha. So, this 2 verses here describing, King Chitraketu is offering prayers to his dear Lord Ananta, and he is beautifully describing the status of universe, and it's in 2 verses it's summarizing a whole story about how the universe is and how it is created, how it is manifested, how it's annihilated, and everything. So I made some slides, and we will go through little bit about, because sometimes for me it's hard to imagine things when it's just in words, so pictures gives more better view. So I'm gonna just pull out. Prabhu has already said. So no, I think I can just. It's too much interruption. Yeah, I don't want to interrupt. And I have the slides I can. So I think you can go to slide number 3 or 4. Let's go to the 4, Prabhu. Slide 4. Yeah, go to fourth. Yes. So here it is, in our scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Prabhupada discuss about the Krishna's energies are, and Krishna himself describes in Bhagavad Gita then how his energies are manifested in different forms, and there are different paths to realize Krishna in this material world. And so there are 3 different energies of Krishna. One is, Brahman realization, external energy. So that's the Krishna's impersonal material energy. The people who wants to see Krishna everywhere, especially people who fear the personal form of Krishna, the impersonalists, they can see Krishna as white light or Brahman, or they see in the matter. They want to perceive Krishna in matter. So Krishna facilitated, okay, you look at me in every atom, right? Then Krishna is localized as Paramatma, as a super soul in everyone's heart, including the atom. And this is so in Krishna, some people want to go further beyond impersonal conception, and they want to see Krishna as and super soul, Paramatma in everyone's heart. But there are another feature of Krishna describes here is Bhagavan, which is internal energy, which is the personal conceptions with as we have deities as Krishna and Radha here. So that's the internal manifestation of internal energy in the form of deities, which we can perceive as Krishna. And this is what we call eternal, blissful, and all knowing consciousness of a soul's relation with the Supreme Person and pure Spirit. So on the right hand side, you see this is our perception of the modern perception of atom, where you have a nucleus, you have an orbit, and you have electron, proton and neutron around it. And so this description even given in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, I think it's chapter 12 or 11, where it's talking about atomic time, the atomic clock, and that's where the Bhagavatam it is described about how from a molecule, from atom, molecular form, and molecule, how do you go further? And this was 5,000 years ago, at least so far in our calculation. And the modern science knew it just 100 years ago, and still we have theories. We really don't know what exactly going on. So we go to next slide, Prabhu. And this is another example Prabhupada gives many times on the commentaries about how do you see Krishna in relation with, if you take an example as a sun, then a lot of people who want to believe in just, impersonal feature, they look at sun sign. So you can consider sun sign as a Krishna. They consider, they fear personality. So they just say, okay, this is what we want to merge into this white light, and that's it. That's the end of the world. And then some people advance further, go and they say, okay, there is a sun disk. There is something beyond the light, and right. So they further. That's they realize Paramatma feature, and the Bhagavan is they consider that okay, there is a sun planet, there is a people with the fiery body which is made of fire, and there are the deity, presiding deity or king of the sun planet is sun god, right? In our case right now, Bhivashwan. And then, so this is the level of realization, and whole spiritual realm, or impersonalist or atheist, revolving around all, right? And I was reading, listening Prabhupada's tape yesterday about Upanishad, and he was describing there one of the verse that whether you are atheist or you are theist, you are working under the control of Krishna. It doesn't matter whether you believe or doesn't believe. It's like same example, right? Whether somebody believes or not, everybody has to die. Whether you believe or not, things are there. Like even COVID, some people believed there is coronavirus, some people didn't believe there is coronavirus, but it was there, and when it hit it, you know it. There is no question of, unless it doesn't hit, we feel like, okay, maybe there is no COVID, or we don't need any protection. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Maybe you can hold after we finish, after 20 minutes, and then we can discuss if you don't mind. Is that okay?
Well, just a simple question. Before you were discussing the internal energy and astrology, you mentioned the 8 material elements.
Yes.
And then I think you were reading, but it said earth, water, fire, air, space, or ether. And then you said the total energy.
No, we cannot hear. You should use the microphone.
The total energy, which is mind and intelligence.
Mm.
Do you remember?
Yes.
Okay, what do you mean the total energy, which is mind and intelligence?
So, total energy is in the sense that ultimately the energy, that's my limited understanding, and Rabda Prabhu can comment. So, in that translation, Prabhupada is mentioning total energy, and then it says false ego, the next word after that.
Oh, I see. So in the verse, Bhumira Po Nalo Vayu Kama.
Yeah.
The translation is total energy.
And yes, that's what it goes on. But we are going to discuss that, like how
Why
it
not
is.
separate mind and intelligence as the Sanskrit says?
I don't know why Prabhupada didn't separate, but he just, sometimes you talk something and it's not every time you repeat the same thing. Sometimes it's like way of expressing things, but in Bhagavad Gita, it's very clear. And this is one instance Prabhupada mentioning, there are multiple instances, and Bhagavatam.
Do you have were you reading from the Bhagavad Gita?
I'm reading from purport, if you go on, and the translation.
I see.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We'll touch base on that. But there are,
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for asking. So I was saying, okay, where I was.
It's charts. Sun sign.
Sun sign, okay. Now go to the next one. So what we were taught in our school, and I feel cheated because I was not given the right information. This is the modern conception of the universe, like our solar system. And of course, NASA and other agencies across the world, they are trying to take a picture of something which we don't understand what it is. It's like enhanced picture of something which we cannot interpret too much about it, right? And this is, even if we look at this particular model, which is given by scientists based on whatever they, did look at the, telescope, this seems very interesting, right? There is a sun in the middle. There are, different planetary system, and this is so nicely organized that none of these, planets hit each other. They revolve very, very nicely. There is no clash. I don't see any traffic signal here. And then we hear from our, peers in scientific community, this is all by chance. But I have never seen it, in this world, everything is running based on rules, regulations, and, controller, and, artificial intelligence. You need to have intelligence to create artificial something, right? Without base material, like, we were reading purport. If you don't have a chemical, where are you going to create a water, right? No, who is going to supply hydrogen and oxygen, and what does it mean, right? And then we go on to next, on the right-hand side, this is how the things are moving. and the sun is in the middle. They say that there is gravitational force in case of Earth, which is us holding the Earth in air. We cannot hold a few tons in air without any force. But this is all by chance, and which puzzles a lot of them. And it's easy to say by chance because then you don't have to give any explanation. That's the best thing I can do. If I have to respond to anyone, just say, okay, maybe by chance. But who's going to prove that it's by chance? You have to prove that, to say that by chance, right? You saw that by chance something happened. Prabhupada gives examples. He has never seen two cars join together and create a third car. They produce a third car, right? Matter cannot produce itself, and we know it. And that's where the difference is. We go to the next slide, Prabhu. Okay. So this is Big Bang Theory, and one devotee is called BBT. So it's a nice, attractive acronym. So Big Bang Theory says that everything came by chance. There were chemicals, and chemically unite, expand, and expand, and expand, and expand, create more. And how many time scale, if you look at 4 billion years, then a one star formation happened. One star. Huh? If we look at a sky, then we have millions and trillions of stars on the sky, and one takes 4 billion years, right? And people, all scientific community believes in it, and children are taught in school. And if you ask them, can you show me experimentally? No, it's all by chance. So, of course, by chance, how I'd show you, right? And they will question, okay, can you live 4 billion years then to see it? Can you experiment it? It cannot be experimentally shown, right? Fine, everybody accepts it because, why? Because there is no fear of anyone. And the whole thing, why people don't accept God, despite, most of these Nobel Prize winners, at some point in their life, they secretly admit that there is something out there, but don't tell anyone outside. I don't want to say this in public, because otherwise then I'm gone. My prize would be taken away, right? Why? Because moment you say that there is a person and there is a higher power controlling anything, even in material world, moment I know I don't have a boss, I can behave crazy because I know that nobody is going to chastise or control me. I'm free to do anything. And this is the hardcore feeling in the heart that the moment they admit there is a God, then the action starts. Then you have to start believing what God said, acting what God wants you, then you have to be responsible for everything what God said. Like, it's same like, right, if there is no head in the family, then you're just free to do anything. That's it. There is no system, there is no lineage, there is no, no system, no succession, right? Yeah, no temple president, then everyone is free to do whatever you want. Depends what kind of president. Sometimes even president is very tough, then even from remote, they have a fear that if he is not visible, then also they fear. Because when you come back, like Krishna, right, we don't see it, but if we believe in it, we know that I'm being watched. CCTV, the president can watch from somewhere, see what's going on there, dude, right? And then later, there is a fear of someone, right? So in Krishna consciousness, we don't believe in fear of something. We believe in responsibility and duty, right? It's not that we serve Krishna, we are doing it because otherwise he will kill us, right? That's not, the whole story is not around it. Other religion, there are fear of, God. But in Vaishnavism, there is all fear of, not fear of anyone, but it's more of fear of not able to do the duty. And the same thing happens with a mother. It's like a love, right? Mothers don't fear a child because the child is so small. But it's still every time attentive without anyone watching around and then trying to do the duty, right? So we have a conception of love, and that's why we are responsible for what we do in our life, and we follow. We have 2 more slides, and then another slide, Prabhu. Okay. So this is I took from Bhagavatam, and some deities have nicely described this. I was not able to comprehend. Still, I don't understand everything here, but I'll share whatever I know so far. I used to imagine like there is an ocean, Garbhodakaśāyī Ocean, and there is a whole, Vishnu there, and then whole 7 planetary up and down planetary system, and then there is a middle earth. I was never able to comprehend how does it happen, because of, why? Because we saw that nine grahas, and that's what I know, that okay, everything is, that's it. But here, if you see on the left hand side, it's the sun there. On the ocean there is ananta, who is holding the whole 14 planetary system. And this is a dissection of one planetary system, one universe, where you see in the middle there is the earth, it's called Bhumandala, and the below is the Garbhodakaśāyī Ocean, where ananta is there, and there are stars and planets on the the top. And the circles are 7 layers, which we were just reading. 7 material layers, each 10 times more than the other one. And the cell, or it's called andakosha, so it's a cell, right? And it's hard to comprehend. It's inconceivable because we don't have capacity to see. It's like if somebody never fly on a plane, and if you tell them that how does the city looks from the top, the person would never believe it, like never ever gonna believe it, that there is something out there. So it's the same thing. We have never gone there, right? A lot of people who went for space science or space research, somewhere they realize it. One of them is Sunita Williams and all of the people. Once they go to space, then they see the Earth, and then they see the vast nature of the universe, and then still they come back, they don't tell anyone, because the moment you tell them, you're kicked out of the agency. Where the funding gonna come from? If you're gonna tell the truth that we are nothing, and what we are doing is nonsense, in a sense that what benefit humanity going to get besides, okay, fine, we have internet, mobile phone because of satellites and everything out there, fine, that's great. But based on that, can I reject everything out there, which is already researched by a lot of rishis and present in Vedic literature? And then on the right, you see the distance from across different planets. And this is one dissection, right? Go to the next slide, Prabhu. And this is the description we have from our, we were just reading in Prabhupada's purport, that how the universe is born. And this is one snap view. I mean, there were nice videos people have created, how we look at it. But the essence is that there is an order, there is a structure, there is a design. It's not by chance. There is an intention to create something. And this is where Mahā-Viṣṇu, it's called Kṛṣṇa Viṣṇu. There is a whole detail, we read in purport, and there is a whole, section in Bhagavatam about all this. But I'm gonna just talk brief. Mahā-Viṣṇu is Kṛṣṇa Viṣṇu. Karano means, cause for this universe. And then Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, Hiranyagarbha, and then Kṣīrodakaśāyī Viṣṇu as Paramatma. And this one, you see, this is where we hear the universe are born from the breathing of the Mahā-Viṣṇu. This is how the universe. Each circle is a universe. Okay? And if you go to the next slide, this is what our model of universe that the spiritual science describe. And now people call it this mythology. How sad it is. The use of the Big Bang, they call it this looks real. And this is logical. The reason is, if you look at it, it says you have a 7 upper planetary system, 7 below, below, and the mid you have, you have Bhumandala, right? Middle planet, higher planet, lower planet. And then there is Durga Devi. There is, in each of these universe, you have Brahma, you have Vishnu, you have Shiva. And they are controlling. They are the kind of leaders of this universe. And everything is born from the navel of Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, right? The Brahma came, he created Rudra by anger because his sons were not following, so he got angry, created another. And then Vishnu is the maintainer. This they don't believe it, because they think that how can from navel something is born, right? Like navel, a stem comes, lotus flower, and then on that an entity comes, and then it suddenly creates everything. And then there is a whole detailed description how does it come, right? The Krishna gives instruction to Brahma to create. He doesn't have his own capacity to create even a dust particle. But he created because he got instruction, like we get instruction to create something. We get a protocol to do something, to create something out of it, right? So he got a protocol from his boss to do something in this universe. And then everything is annihilated, right? And there is a time given when created, how much sustained, and when it gets annihilated, what is the process. Still people believe this is mythology. Who can help? I don't know. Only Krishna can help, because otherwise you can't argue. You can't argue with someone who is illogical. And most of the time when you go into higher realm of discussion with anyone, it's all by chance. Then where is the logic? Chance is not logic, right? And then you see that then 7 layers shown there on the different coverings. We go to the next one, Prabhu. And then on the right and the left, on the left it's the same thing what I talked, but this is more of how our bhakti grows and goes to the Krishna planet, but that's not the topic of discussion now. On the right you see, so then Prabhupada describes in purport that this universe, what we see, the material manifestation, not just this one universe, but all millions of universes are just 25% of the total energy of Krishna. And this is external energy. The internal energy on the top you see is actually spiritual realm, and in between there is a white light, Brahma Jyoti, which is effulgence of Krishna's planet, coming directly from his body, his spiritual effulgence. And most of people want to get into this Brahma Jyoti forever, and then it's nice, right? It's in the mid, you can fall down easily, because going up takes energy, but going down doesn't take anything. You just pinned off. That's it, right? You kicked off, out it, right? Kicking something up is like, the person who is kicking off also needs energy, right? But throwing them on slug glide down, no problem. So that's what happens. The Mayavadis and yogis and intellectuals, and, big people, yogis, jnanis, they reach to Brahma Jyoti, stay for few million, billion years, and then come back, because they don't know where to go. I think most of time, and some may realize further going up in next level. So this is the model of universe we have. I think we can stop sharing, Prabhu. That's all I had for the slide. So now, couple of questions. I mean, we'll take in another, and maybe 1-2 questions I have, and I will discuss, and then we'll close for discussion. So the question is here that King Chitraketu, he got his spiritual knowledge from his spiritual master, and he got darshan of ananta shesha. And now he is realizing that loss of his children, which he lost and he was lamenting for, like killed by his co-wives. And then this within 7 days, the thought process had changed. Now he's talking about whole universe and whole cosmic manifestation, wonderful prayers. Why did this happen? Suddenly, how could this realization comes, right? And of course, this description is there in the previous verse. Prabhupada writes in purport that Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, only 4 kind of people come to me. 4 kind of people, and then mostly distressful, jnanis, inquisitive, and there is one more. And in this case, he is distressed, like super distressed, losing 3-4 months child, which he achieved from millions of wife, one wife gave, and then then he's gone. So distressful people only can understand. And Prabhupada writes in purport in Bhagavad Gita that distress in life is preparation for. It's like a preparation for a spiritual life, right? And most of the time, when in material life we get distressed, that is preparation for depressed life, because then you start smoking, drinking, and whatnot, and then you're secluded somewhere and thinking of something which is very horrible experience, and most of people tend to commit suicide out of it, like just want to kill themselves because they are distressed and don't know, right? Such a sad situation. But distress in spiritual life means preparation for something better, right? Prabhupada said that there is nothing sure in this world than death. Death is the most surest thing in this world. Whether believe or not, everybody will die. And then one other philosopher, is Albert King or someone says, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Because to go to another planet, you have to leave this body. But nobody wants to die, but everybody wants to get heaven, heavenly experience, heavenly life, everything in this world. It's such contradiction, and nobody gets it. We have seen it. Nobody. I have never seen somebody enjoying heaven-like life forever. Flickering comes, but then maybe mentally they feel like heaven, but externally it's horrible. Right? So that's a theory here, right? As a devotee, we don't fear death too much. Of course, I'm not so advanced, so I do fear death. Let's admit it. But we are on the path of realizing that we become fearless, right? Like Prahlad Maharaj, how much faith he has in Vishnu and Krishna. And the faith can only come when somebody is want to have a faith. Faith doesn't come for free. It has come with the cost. Because then first you need to have a desire, and then you need to get to a right source to get. Without knowledge, there is no faith. Suppose if I'm meeting someone, suppose I'm meeting Tyler Prabhu one time, and first time he will not have faith on me, and I will not have faith on him unless I have some experience with him. So faith doesn't come just by, let's take breathe in, breathe out, and the faith will come, and you will reach to a new planet, right? Faith doesn't come like that. Faith comes by experience. And to experience this, we have to come to temple, we have to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we have to do so many things. Or people say, okay, you can sit alone, Chala Prabhu sit alone, meditates, I can sit alone, meditate, and then faith will come, suddenly some exchange will happen. In this material world, I have never seen it. Even for business thing, you have to meet, interact, share ideas, work together, and then something comes out of it. But in spiritual life, nobody wants to invest any time, any energy, fear that somebody may exploit it, anyways people are exploiting out there, right? I mean, whether you believe or not, everybody has that experience, that exploitation, right? But moment it comes to spiritual life or religious things, people have a lot of skepticism, fear. Fear of God is really big. Everybody fears God. Even atheists do have a fear. If I know a lot of it, they were atheists throughout their life. When then comes to end of life, they start realizing those moments. I have some people on Facebook. They're hardcore atheists, But now I'm seeing after 10, 15 years, they start posting those things, questioning those things like, what is it, soul? What is soul? That's basic in our philosophy. Like, what is soul? And they don't have any answer. Then soul is something, ephemeral and all. So there is a lot of ignorance out there, and we are so fortunate to have these scriptures, acharyas, devotees, describing to us and giving us peace of mind. Because if I don't know there is Krishna behind all this universe, I may fear where I'm going to go. Because the people fear death because there is a fear of destination. They don't know this unknown destination after death, what I'm going to do. And if we know destination, fine. New body, it's like a changing cloth. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, who cares if I get and buy better cloth, I'm going to throw this away anyways, right? So who cares? I get a better mobile, I'm going to throw older one, right? This is natural. But that destination is known to us, unknown to them, and we are trying to let them know there is something out there. You believe or don't believe it. Prabhupada says if somebody doesn't believe in Krishna, he comes as a death. And if somebody believes in Krishna, he comes as a lover. So choice is up to us. Believe or don't believe. Experiences are different. Death experience is horrible, and this is pleasing. And if we really love happiness, want to have heavenly life, I think I would go more with love rather than fear, right, of death. So with that, thank you so much for listening, and please forgive anything I said wrong. We can discuss. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
No, I'll come to you. I don't know if it's on.
Yeah, it's on. So, Hare Krishna, Prabhu, wonderful class. So, I have this fundamental question, Prabhu. One thing is, in these prayers it says, Tvam Adyantara Vartitraya Viduraha. So, you are the beginning, you are the end and all. So if we take like Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is also Satchidananda Vigraha. But if we take a Jiva, it is also like Satchidananda Swarupa only. And if we go through Bhagavad Gita, we know that soul also doesn't. There was never a time that a soul is created, nor like it will never cease to exist, or it didn't come into beginning. So what differentiates with the Paramatma and Jivatma, or like Jiva? Because both the composition of soul and super soul is same, and they are there from beginning, end, and they continuously.
No.
So what is the difference between a Jiva and Lord?
Yes. No, thank you for asking the question. And I know you know it, but just for discussion you're asking. So, I think same example Prabhupada gives multiple times. Ocean and drop of ocean, gold and gold mine, gold mine and the dark particle of gold. There are two things, right? Qualitatively it is same, quantitatively it is different, right? And another feature, I think, which we understand is the super soul is the internal potency of Krishna, and we are marginal potency of Krishna. The soul is in the mid, somewhere it's entrapped in the body. And then we had one in the earlier slide, first slide. Bhagavad Gita describes that soul is present in the heart, right? And then super soul is also present in the heart. Now, a lot of time the question is, and then Krishna says that the soul is atomic, and it's a 10,000 part of the tip of the hair, and it is present in the heart. And people, it's really hard to conceive it, because scientifically, they have a blood flowing throughout your heart, and it's 5 liters of blood moving, pumping. It's 72 times in a minute, right? Maybe soul get kicked off out of heart, right? Like, it's flowing. Where gonna soul stand there, right? Like, there is no space. So then there is a further explanation. So there is air. Everybody believes there is an air in the heart. It's oxygen, of course. Chemically you say oxygen, but there is an air. And there is 5 kind of air in which the soul is trapped. The soul is atomic, and then you have air, it is trapped. And these 5 kind of air is our conditioning, which entraps in this. Soul is entrapped in the body. Because of that, you call it subtle body, right? 5 kind of air. And then super soul Paramatma is, a lot of people question, we have this Bhagavad Gita certificate course, and a lot of new people, they question, if there is a soul, and soul is my friend, because Krishna says, I am well-wisher of him, suhridam, right? I am really dear. When I do wrong, why the soul is not caring anything? It's just sitting there, but nothing, just, waiting for me to die and not helping? Well, no, right? That's a free will. But I'm going extra on the question, but I think that's 2 major things I understand. One is, quantitatively different. Other is our position is different. We are marginal.
Thank you. What a wonderful class. It was very interactive. I like the way you prepare. I like how you conclude with sharing some questions that you've been thinking about and kind of presenting them as almost like research. So it's very thought-provoking. I had a couple small questions, but you were talking about when you see the model of creation in those really wonderful slides that, we create, not the scientists. And the Westerner looks at it and they can't wrap their head around it, and it's almost like mythology, like you were saying. I was thinking about that, like, at least my generation, we're raised on Disney films, and there's like video games. So it's all fantastical. We already have this fantastical thinking. And this seems super fantastical. Like these seem like, heroes and villains and gods and forms. So we're already trained to like not even to know that's not real, you know? So you're fortunate in India if you have a different experience where you're like walking past temples where these forms exist and you're sort of seeing it. I mean, the American doesn't have a way to conceive of that. They look at that and it's so complex, but yet it's like a fantasy. It's like so it's really great that we're able to unpack these really awesome topics and move through. And we have a reading on Monday. We were talking about the 3 different forms of Vishnu creation, and we were actually playing in that sandbox and trying to figure some things out. And even Vijay was kind of like stumped at one point. So it's nice that we're revisiting these things constantly and trying to work through them. Those models sure help. This is a basic question that, that Krishna is in all the atoms, in
Yes.
expanded form. Is there a jiva also in the atom, or is he controlling the atom alone? Because atoms compose form, like my human body, I'm in a soul, and then there's all these atoms that compose the organs of my body. There's not a jiva in there, right? It's Krishna. That's like the building block that he's in, not another atom jiva.
So if it is the matter, right? So there are two things generally we think. When we think of atomic things, we always think of matter. This is how we are taught about, right? Anything you call an atom means there is nothing in it. It's because matter comes from atom. That's what matter. Atom, molecule, and then bigger structure, molecule, embedded. It's like you make a diamond. Like you embed a carbon and then make a big carbon. It's a diamond, right? So, as per what I know is atom itself is not a soul, right? But the soul is atomic. Think from other point. The soul is atomic, which means the atom, it looks like a soul, right? So we know in Bhagavad Gita the soul is atomic, which means atomic means that it has a nature of atom, which is, we saw that, right? The soul is very tiny, and then super soul is, standing. It's like there is a length given in. So for me, it's inconceivable at this point. I don't know whether egg came first or the mother to give egg, right? The hen came first. It's like that. But what we know that atom came from Kṛṣṇa, which means that it is spiritual. So Prabhupada says, whether we classify things, spiritual, material, but everything coming from Kṛṣṇa. And we consider if we have that consciousness, then everything is spiritual. There is nothing material in this world. Because everything comes from Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa is fully spiritual. Satchidananda Vigraha, right? He is 100% spiritual. Anything coming from his should be spiritual. Depends on how we see it, right? For me, like a gross person, I will distinguish. Okay, this is matter, this is spirit. But somebody's Paramahansa, for them, even pebble is a spirit, because that's how they worship deities. Somebody, material may say this is stone, but we as a deity, this is Kṛṣṇa, spiritual, let me take care of, feed him, dress him, right? Same thing, right?
That's a great way of looking at that, actually, how you were saying it's spiritual. Because he's breathing, these universes come into form, and then, he inhales and they come back. So we look at it from a matter perspective, it's over, right? This thing was temporary. But no, it's just returning to the source,
it's
coming back out.
It's a recycling.
It's
right?
funny, because atoms are like the building blocks of material nature, and I guess they are permanent, because they just get reformed as he's breathing.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking like an atomic mirror, I'm like building block, me. Building block, right? Like, me as an atom is a little different than the building block atoms, right?
Yeah.
Then one quick thing, I did have a question for you, but at the last sentence of the first text we read, it says something about Krishna's potency. He exists. Do you know anything about that? He exists as potency.
Exists as original potency. Yeah. That's what I said. That potency means what? In this world, when we say word potential.
But it means not yet there. Potency means it could be, or...
No.
Potency is a
that's
measure
not
of
a
strength?
speculative word, potential. That's what I'm coming to that.
Okay.
So when we say, I have a potential to do something, which means I have a capacity, but whether I am able to do it or not is matter of question, right? Like, I have a potency, but what's guarantee I'm going to do it, right? That's the general understanding, right, of potential. In this one, original word is added. Original potency, right? And we know that there is no imperfection in Kṛṣṇa. If he says yes, means yes. There is no clause around it, right? In Bhagavad Gita, whatever he said is a fact today after 5,000 years after. And there is no book which is remaining till now, it remains fact. Yeah. He said there is a soul in the body, it's a fact. There is no question of yes or no. So when he says original potency, original means the cause of it, right? Potency here in this case, that anything you see, because if you relate to the next, earlier lines, you have eternal, having no beginning, end or middle. You are perceived to exist in three. Perceived means the people perceive. The Chitraketu is saying, people in general perceive you to exist, starting, middle and end. And when cosmic manifestation doesn't exist, it says you exist as your original potency. Means when somebody can question, right? All right, so Vishnu creates, Vishnu maintains, Vishnu destroys. What happens after that? Where it all gone? So that goes to him, original potency. So he is the only one who has a potential. None of us have any potential to create. Because he is energetic, we are energies, right? He is cause, we are effects here. And he is enjoyer, we are being enjoyed. It's the same relationship.
And this is the last question. It sounds fun, but I'm being genuine with it.
Please.
Because we have the heaven and hellish planets, and we were talking about everyone wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. And then the atheists, too, we're talking about. So what would you tell somebody who's about to die in front of you, and they're going to hell?
How do I know?
They're going to go to hell. You know that they lived a bad life. They're going to go to hell. So you're going to hellish planets. What do you?
No, but
what do you tell the person who's going to go to hell?
I wish this was so simple because, that's true. But
are not going to be saved.
Okay,
they're going to go to hell.
Right. I'll come. Yes.
Right.
Okay. No, I was saying we have a story of Bharat Maharaj, right? Or Ajamil, right? Ajamil story. Let's go to that. He did all the nonsense in his life, right? And then he got the darshan of Vishnu Dutas and then protected by them. Inconceivable. If we put in the same situation, right? Somebody did like Ajamil, and then how? Then the concept of karma comes. And the karma is so complex. Krishna says, Arjun, it's hard to believe. You can't understand the complexity of karma. So it's really hard for me to say, how you're going to do and what you should do and you get better or no. But just like Balarāma Prabhu said, we have a number one formula which works in everyone's case, right? Whether you are pious, impious, like Ajamil, or you're like, very big gambler, did all 4 sinful activities, you're fine. But that doesn't happen. Maybe people think that I can play a tape around me before my death, and then I will be able to hear Hare Krishna Maha Mantra artificially, and then I'll go, because I'm trying to be lawyer and put all the clauses together so that Krishna cannot defeat me. Right? Because then he has to follow, because he created, you follow the rules. It's like we lawyers fight against government, the attorneys, bring out all rule regulation, the jugglery of words, and put things together and say, okay, therefore, this is correct or this is wrong, right? Krishna is, and this means I'm trying to cheat Krishna. And Krishna is biggest gambler. He can gamble anyone, right? So that's the same situation, right? We cannot artificially create situation. It's at the end, it's mercy. We can do everything in life, this is my understanding, but at the end, it's mercy. Same thing, you apply for one job, 100 people apply, maybe 10 are super qualified for the same role, but at the end, the person is going to hire one person. Why? Subjective decision, mercy. Dislike things, maybe that boss, hiring person likes the thing which you have, then the 9 people will abuse him. Why the nonsense? You had a criteria, qualification, everything. I gave interview, I went through everything, and then suddenly you took just one person. I have everything. Why not me? Because that person was favorable and there was some good qualities matching. Similarly, Krishna, if like devotees, people can question, a lawyer mindset person can question, I did everything in Krishna consciousness, but still I didn't get same benefit like other. But then mercy. And I cannot dictate mercy, whom Krishna or Guru will be merciful versus whom not, because he is independent. He is not dependent on rule and regulation. I cannot question government, why did you change the rule? They change the rule, you follow it, or you don't follow it, put into jail. Throw it out. Right? If the material people can do like that, Krishna cannot. He's like, he can't do anything. That's how we think. So he can do everything. That's a God, definition of God. God can do anything. Otherwise, he is not dog. Prabhupada said he's a dog. Right? If you put a limitation on God, then he's a dog. Right? Because the dog you control,
So you can save anyone from death?
Of course. I think we have a magic formula. And we have a faith too, right? Then thank you.
Just wanted to add something to it. Like We usually in this Kali-Yuga, in the age of passion, we take the example of Ajamil, that he got saved. Actually, like my understanding and what Krishna, whatever my Guru Maharaj says, that we cannot take that example.
Just for the online crowd, they would like to.
Yeah, like we in this age of passion, we cannot take the example of Ajamil because his past karmas were so good that although he did something bad in this short span of time, he could Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam at the last minute when Dutas came before that, he could remember Krishna. But for us in Kali Yuga, we should not never take, like, we quote that example, we can save anybody. But this comes foremost, we have to practice, as you said, we have the formula. Practice, practice, practice. So even if the person is on deathbed, we need to have that yam yam vapi smaran vapi tyajyantante kalevaram tam tamay vaiti konteya sada tad bhava bhavitah and antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. So last minute, that's why we all practice, and although we know Ajamil's case, but in Kali Yuga we cannot follow that.
No, thank you.
So,
but I would add to that, and we had yesterday's foundation day for our ISKCON society movement, and a lot of discussion going on internet and out there. How did Prabhupada did it? Because we can't say we cannot do it, because Prabhupada did it. The people who are the lowest in the society, like hippies, if you look at, we are not at least hippies. Like, so there is a hope. I'm just trying to give positive side of it, right? So Prabhupada has no material asset when he came. He has only instruction and faith. That's it. Like we took on faith, the concept of faith. But he did it. He transformed someone like hippie in 15 days as a sannyasi, as a swami. What was that? Right? How was that? So there is, just 50 years ago, we have people living who became swami in 15 days. Right? So we can't say that we can't do it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you chant once, you become spiritual. You can attain love of Godhead. But then that faith, and most of the time when we think like we can't do it, that means I don't have a faith. And I admit I don't have a faith. Like Prabhupada, like the devotees, their past karma, of course, their past karma, they may be sannyasis and yogis and jnanis. They born in New York City, in Bowery, became hippie. But that guru, maybe Prabhupada was their guru in the past life, he came back again for them to take care of them and give them a spiritual advancement in a moment. Like Prabhupada, most of the time initiation is by letter. We now think, if my guru does my initiation remote, maybe I'm not that fortunate. Maybe I should be in person. Maybe say serving guru in some my god brother said, you're serving guru Lotus feet physically is more advanced than me serving somewhere in 3,000 miles away, right? No. We have living example, Shastras, Acharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Charitamrita, right? Moments, Keshavananda Bharati transformed, right? Prakash, he was arguing with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, transformed, right? So this Hare Krishna Mahamantra was hidden and Prabhupada bring it out. This is the main thing, right? Balarāma Prabhu was saying, this is the main thing. If you have a faith, otherwise no. Even the medicine doesn't work on the patient. There's a clinical trial, there is studies. You give a placebo. You give just water to a patient and it works because they think that the doctor gave me a medicine. And you give a medicine to someone, doesn't work because there is no faith. Because the whole hormonal and psychophysical nature works based on chemicals. And the chemical produced by the brain's instructions in the body, the pituitary gland and the whole hormonal system, it's all faith. If I have a faith that you're going to kill me right now, my whole body will change. My body heat ups. My brain is like crazy hot and I'm trying to run away. Why? Because I have a faith that you're going to something. A lot of people die not by snake bite, but the fear of the snake. They just see the snake, they have a heart attack, they die. The snake didn't touch them, right? We see in the COVID, people died not because of corona, but because of fear of corona. A lot of people have a heart attack because of that, right? So faith, they have a strong faith that this is real. Something is really real. The same thing if we have an opposite faith here, then life is easier. Otherwise, but the good thing is that we are on the right path. Prabhupada said, don't worry. You are on the right path. You are on the spiritual path. So at some point in time, again by the mercy component, we may be able to achieve, not by my physical endeavor or my intelligence, my scholarship, my position, my guru, only guru, sadhu and shastras. Third, there is no fourth factor. So, yeah, sorry, I think I'm extending longer. So, all glories to Prabhupada, and thank you for tolerating me. And Hare Krishna. And Chakalptarubhasya Kripasindhivevcha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. तो कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय।